Alright guys, so today's video we get kind of a first look at the Tronsmart Apollo Air ANC. Now if you're familiar with Tronsmart at all, they're the company responsible for the Apollo Bold, which was really one of the first budget noise canceling pair of earbuds that caught people's attention. It just had really impressive quality, it offered some really nice features, and it showed you that you didn't have to spend like a ton of money to get really good performance. And so the fact that the new Air ANCs come in at only $70 already had me intrigued, because I'm excited to see what all they can cram into these for $70. But given the fact that the Apollo Bold came out a while ago, I wanted to see what kind of improvements they can make with coming out with this pair. So we're going to check out some of the features, we're going to see some of the specs and talk about the sound and see if it's worth the $70 price tag. Now I do want to point out, if you are interested in buying these, it doesn't look like they're available everywhere yet. I don't see them on Amazon. I actually don't even see them where you can buy them on Tronsmart's site, but it is available on geekbuying.com, which is owned by Tronsmart. But depending on where you live, it might actually take a little while to get to you. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about these because they are actually available. But let's go ahead and start with the fact that they're available in two different colors. Now you can see that I have the black model here, but it is also available in white. Now I do want to point out that both of them kind of have like a glossy material on the earbuds themselves. You can see that it does have the stem style design, and overall, if you just look at them, they kind of look generic. There's not really much to make them stand out as far as appearance goes, and that kind of goes for the case as well, but we'll kind of talk about those in a second. But when it comes to the actual technology that's in these, this is where these start to separate themselves from some of the other budget noise canceling earbuds. Now they do use Bluetooth 5.2, and they're also using a Qualcomm 3046 chip that has aptX playback, AAC, and SBC. So if you're looking for some really good Bluetooth codecs, it's nice that it has these. And it also has the True Wireless Stereo Plus connection. So your device that you're using, whether it be your phone or your tablet or laptop, it's sending a separate signal to each earbud, and what that's causing is a very stable connection, and this is one of the best pairs that I've used for different types of media. So I was able to switch between watching YouTube or watching a movie or even go into gaming and be able to not really notice any kind of lag at all. And that's impressive in my books, considering the fact that there is no ultra low latency or gaming mode that you have to switch them into. It's just working right out of the box that way. So this is an excellent pair to use for different types of media. Now, some other things that they did with these is they built their own custom 10mm driver, and I'm definitely going to talk about that when we talk about the sound. And then as far as another thing that I really like is this also works with Tronsmart's app. So you can go in, and it does have some different pre-built EQ settings. You can go around and mess with the controls. It also has the ability to turn your noise canceling on, turn your noise canceling off, or even switch it over into ambient mode. So it is nice that there's an app to be able to do these things. But one thing I do want to go ahead and talk about is the noise canceling and the ambient mode, because I think if you're obviously looking at these, that's going to be something that's fairly important. Now, when it comes to the noise canceling, I think because of the price, it definitely stands out in this price range. I think if you're going to compare these to the Sony or the Bose, you can definitely tell that that's where it kind of drops off a little bit. Now they do claim that it's canceling out up to like 35 decibels of sound around you, and I think for the most part, it's actually doing that really nicely. I think with low engine noises and air conditioner units and things like that, it is very hard to hear those. But when it comes to people talking, you can tell that a little bit of that's coming through. But I think for a $70 pair, it's really impressive how much of the noise around you that it's blocking out. Now, when you do switch between the noise canceling on and the noise canceling off mode, another thing that I like is you can tell that it's not really affecting the sound. Because in other earbuds, whether it be budget or even expensive pairs, usually when you switch to noise canceling, it closes you in a little bit and it causes your music to be a little boomier. So I do like when pairs can keep the sound the same no matter which mode that you're using. So that is definitely a plus with this pair. Now, if you're going to be using the ambient mode, like if you need to hear some of the things around you, I think the ambient mode on here is done very well. Now, I don't know if that's because this pair actually is using 6 microphones in total, but it's very easy to carry on a conversation. It's easy to hear traffic if you're going to be out running or jogging or doing things like that. So they definitely did a good job when it came to the ambient mode. Now, speaking of using these outdoors, the IP rating comes in at IP54. Now, that obviously sounds like a large number because we're used to seeing IPX and then just a single number. But the 5 in this number is the level that it's blocking out dust around you, and the 4 is the water protection. So this is a pair that you will be fine against light splashes and light rain and maybe light sweating. But this is not one of those that I would feel comfortable submerging into water or even just having like a huge splash of water hit. So it is a pair that you're gonna have to be a little more careful with. Now, moving over to checking out what they've included inside the box, you do get the usual small, medium, and large silicone ear tips. And then as far as the charging cable, they've included a USB-C cable. And that is the only way to charge these because the case is not a Qi wireless charging case. And the case also does not have any kind of fast charge feature either. So the battery life that you're getting is just going to be 5 hours on the earbuds with around 20 hours using the case. And so that is, again, a little on the lower end. And that is also listening at around 50% volume. So if you're somebody that just likes to blast your music all the time, you're going to get a little less battery life than that. Now, moving over to checking out the actual case that these come in, again, I feel like the case looks kind of generic, and as far as the materials, it kind of feels a little cheap. It is all plastic. Now, on the back, you can see the USB-C input for charging, and then it does have a pairing button so that if you do want to put the earbuds in pairing, you just put them in the case and hold that button down. Now, as far as any kind of indicator light, it does have a single light on the front, and that's just there to kind of let you gauge how much battery life is left on the case. Now, moving over to looking at the earbuds, again, I told you they are very glossy. And then as far as the design, they really just look like a generic pair of earbuds. So design-wise, I really kind of wish they would have done something different. Now, as far as the controls on this pair, they do use touch controls, and I'm happy to say that they give you control over everything. So you do have your play, pause, skipping your tracks forward, going backwards, and your volume control all on the earbuds themselves. Now, for you guys that like to use your earbuds individually, because it has that true wireless stereo plus connection, you can easily use either the left or the right. And then if you're looking for a pair to use for phone calls, this is an area I definitely think these excel at because they are using those 6 microphones. It's trying to focus in on your voice, and it's also trying to block out your surroundings because it's using that CVC 8.0 technology as well. And this, again, the microphones I feel are very impressive, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
All right, guys, so here is a mic test using the Apollo Air ANCs. I think overall it picks up my voice very well. I feel like I come through clean, and I even think it picks up bass tones fairly nicely. But this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is the mic test with the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. So this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound, because if you'll remember at the beginning of the video, I said these had custom 10mm graphene drivers, and those graphene drivers are delivering a very dynamic, in-your-face sound that's really boomy as shit. So if you're a bass head, and you like to feel bass, and you like to just listen to a bunch of genres and never feel like the bass just kind of lets its foot off the gas, this is the pair that you would be interested in. If you're listening to pop and hip hop and just like any kind of mainstream music, it sounds fantastic because the bass does hit very hard. It's not a tight bass, so if you are looking for that accuracy, this is not going to be one of those pairs. But even moving to genres like metal or rock or just anything where there's a lot going on, the bass, even though it's boomy, it still does not overpower everything. So it still allows the mids and the highs to just come through very clean. I will say that the mids are not pushed very forward. It feels like they're just kind of right in the middle where they should be. So don't expect vocalists to be right in front of you, but don't expect them to get lost in the mix either. And same thing with the treble. It is not a very bright or harsh sound, but you can tell that it is bumped up enough to try to counterbalance that very boomy bass. But the bass is definitely the one thing that's pushed up above everything else. So if you are somebody that likes a boomy sound, or you just like to have that subwoofer type feel, this pair delivers on that. But if you're somebody that likes a flatter sound signature, or one that just focuses on more of the mids and the highs, this is where this pair does not shine. Now, when it comes to the soundstage and the sound imaging, because it is very dynamic and it does lean towards bass, it's not an extremely open sounding earbud, but I will say it still kind of made me feel like I was in a medium to large size room. And I did not have any kind of issues being able to tell where things were coming from. So I really think for $70, considering the fact that you're getting very good noise canceling and a very dynamic sound, it's really kind of hard to pass these up. Even on top of that, having Bluetooth 5.2 with aptX and the true wireless stereo plus connection, which just made it really good with all those different types of media, I think you're really getting a lot of bang for your buck. Now, I do have some cons with these. I really don't like the overall generic look of them. I don't like the fact that the earbuds themselves are glossy. I think that always picks up fingerprints, especially on a pair that uses touch controls. And then as far as anything else, even though it's nice that it works with the app, I do feel like those pre-built EQ settings really aren't doing much to make the sound that much better. So I would have liked to have seen having a custom EQ option. I also would have liked to have seen either fast charging or Qi wireless charging on these. But again, I do have to keep in mind they're only $70 and they are still offering some very impressive features. But guys, that's my video on the brand new Tronsmart Apollo Airs. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.